Hi, I'm Greta Oliver. Welcome to the Educate You podcast, your roadmap to learning tips, techniques, and strategies to enable your student to successfully navigate the road to and through higher education. Hello. Today's guest on Educate You is Shamelle Yemofio. Shamelle is the Director of Counseling at Bishop McNamara High School in Maryland. She's a dedicated counselor, educator with experience in mental health counseling and college counseling for teens and adults. She has been recognized as having strong knowledge of counseling, college admissions, financial aid, and many other things. Today she'll be discussing her role as a college access advocate. And we've been talking about advocates on campus, and so this is so important to find out what this role entails and how this role is necessary to the success of students everywhere. Thank you so much for joining us. Please join me in welcoming Shamelle Yemofio.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Oliver. So glad to be here. Can't wait to talk more about this subject.
Okay, no problem. I'm so excited we're connected and that we're going to be able to find out more about what you do and how that helps students. And so let's just jump in right now. What exactly is a college access advocate? What does that mean? And is that the same thing I'm thinking it is? I guess is my big question.
Okay, well, that's what I call myself, a college access advocate. That's like my unofficial role.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, college access, well, let's talk about what college access means first.
Okay.
College access means having the ability to access the resources needed to apply for and matriculate into college.
Mm-hmm.
Historically speaking, we as the Black community, marginalized community, Latino, Latinx community, we have been marginalized. People of color have been marginalized from the procedure and the process of applying to college. Of course, we haven't always been able to attend college. It was only into the 50s and 60s, even 70s. Some colleges they had the first African-American student walk on campus. So with that being said, there's lots of knowledge and information that still needs to be shared. And there's a huge gap between the marginalized and the unmarginalized. So as a college access advocate, my role is to bring information and resources to students whom otherwise may not have had that information or that resource. And for me, I started getting enlightened about the college access process when I was in high school myself. I attended high school in Trenton, New Jersey, which the Trenton Public Schools is very low ranking in the education system in the state of New Jersey. Not dead last, but almost there. And so I went to a public high school, and I was blessed to be able to be a part of the Princeton University Preparatory Program, in which they invited high achieving, motivated students of color to the campus every summer. And what we did was we did SAT prep. We went on college tours. We went to Broadway plays. They exposed us to things, and they took us out of our normal community, our normal habitat, and they exposed us to a variety of things that we otherwise would not have been exposed to. So I eventually applied to college. I applied to 8 colleges. I got into all 8 colleges. I received a full ride through the Bill Gates Millennium Scholars Program, and I attended my first choice UNC Chapel Hill. I was originally from North Carolina anyway, so my roots were calling me back from New Jersey. So got into UNC, graduated in 4 years, and there was a program called the College Advising Corps. It was in its second year at that time. And I got a chance to kind of relive my high school experience again. I worked in 2 underserved high schools in Durham, North Carolina, Hillside and Southern high schools. And I worked there for 2 years. So through that program, they adopted a near peer model, which means a recent college graduate goes into the high schools and helps high school students access college better. So again, I've continued to relive my high school experience, helping students access college. I'm excited about it. And I'm now a high school counselor. So I'm currently a senior counselor, as you mentioned, at Bishop McNamara High School. I'm also the director of counseling. So I manage 7 other people in our counseling department. And that's a part of how I became a college access advocate. I do it during the day, and I do it when I'm off of work as well.
Okay. That sounds great. And that sounds, your trajectory sounds a bit like mine, even though it's years in between what happened. But basically, I went to Cleveland Public Schools, which was, public schools in Cleveland. What do you think? Probably much like what you experienced in New Jersey. The only difference is you got to take advantage of that program, the Princeton program, to get on campus, and that allowed your eyes to be opened and your experiences to be enhanced by all of the different things that they were, giving to the students that were participating in the program. I didn't have anything like that. I went straight from high school to the university with no kind of my mind wasn't open at all. So I basically showed up there, got dropped off, and let the chips fall where they may. I did graduate in 4 years, but it was more through sheer fear that I didn't want to go home in disgrace, honestly, because I didn't have, parents that were going to go for that. So I knew that I had to go and to get done, and I had to get done in time that I was supposed to be getting done in. So 4 years later, I did graduate by the grace of God, and I must say that. But I also did not take advantage of advocates at all during undergrad. Not really. I can honestly say that I was probably more scared to get involved or even to reveal to anyone that, I needed help, and I did need help. And so I just kind of, locked myself in my room. I had my books. I studied all the time. I did not have much of a social life, just a little in it, a few times. I didn't hang out with people. I didn't do a whole lot of that. I was more like just a studious kind of nerd, I guess I want to call myself, in college. And that's what I felt like I needed to do to be able to focus the way I needed to focus, because I honestly don't even really believe that I knew how to study, honestly. Because I never really studied in high school. Like, the things that I was interested in kind of came naturally. I was like a business education major, so obviously I was a very good typist. I was very good in office kind of skills classes, and I excelled in those. And so I didn't need to really know how to study in that. Either you can type or you can't type. I wanted to be a business education teacher, and that's what I went for. That's what I ended up getting my degree in, and that's what I ultimately did. So I'm also a little bit different than a lot of students today. A lot of students, they don't find jobs in their major. They, kind of doing this, that, and the other for a few years and jumping jobs, and all that's what works for them is great. But I'm just saying that, when I was in college, I didn't have that kind of real advocacy and mentor type situation going on. I was basically on my own, and a lot of that was because I didn't really know about the different things that were available, and I didn't really seek out anything either. So, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I didn't go and ask for help, and I didn't receive any. So, what is so important for the students today are to find people that are in the role that you are in. And right now, you have been access advocate on the high school level, but has that translated to any students? Have you kind of followed any students to college and continue to work with them, or is your experience mostly on the high school level?
Yes, those are very good questions. And let me say also, got to give honor to my mom. I was raised in a single parent household. My mom definitely instilled in me the motivation and will to keep going and to help me to be a critical thinker and to reach out. So those things were definitely great seeds planted. And even she used to take me to the Dudley meetings when I was 4 years old. So those kind of things, seeing entrepreneurs and all that. So to answer your question, for some of the students who I have worked with, we've connected on social media after they've graduated high school. Sometimes they'll reach out, or sometimes I see how they're doing. So social media has definitely allowed me to stay in touch with a good amount of students, especially from my earlier years. As I've gotten older, kids don't think I'm cool anymore, so they don't but some students still come to mind. I'm like, oh yeah, how is that student? Or I'm very sentimental. So I was recently going through my garage and I saw some things that the student wrote about me. So I was like, oh, let me check on this student, see how they're doing.
Yeah.
But I will say this, I haven't had any formal role in which I am following the student specifically. There may have been a few students who I did connect with, who I kept in touch with, but I don't have a mass amount of students. But I will say this, for my advice for students that are on campus who you may not have an advocate. There was a lady on campus at UNC who she just shined. She walked around campus with her head held high. She was a diva. And I say that in a good way. Very confident, well put together. And she worked in campus health, actually. And so I reached out to her and we started talking. And she would say, okay, I'll see you next Thursday. We would have an appointment. And it wasn't until I almost graduated college, if not graduated, and I realized she was a counselor.
Yeah.
I was in therapy, and I thought we were just talking like, okay, yeah, all right, I'll come back. Let's just talk. How's school? And I appreciate that it wasn't a stigma on, oh my goodness, I'm getting therapy, I'm getting counseling. Right. And now that I am a counselor, I realize what was really going on. And so she was very, critical. And just me seeing someone on campus that I knew I could go to. Of course, there's relationship issues you have, academic issues, other family issues that are going on. And I think that was extremely helpful. And also, if you don't have an advocate on campus per se, I would say join some clubs. It was very important for me to join the gospel choir. I was in the gospel choir my first year at UNC. I was away from home. I was 600 miles away from home when I was coming from New Jersey, and that was a family. And it also helped me hold myself accountable. You hold yourself to a certain standard. At least I did, being in the gospel choir. So that was extremely helpful. I was only in it for 1 year. Then I started, taking on other things, other roles. But extremely critical in helping me to remain grounded and connected to people on campus.
Absolutely. We always are saying, find your advocates when you get on campus, find the people that can help you, whatever needs you may have. And sometimes, as you said, you find them in like unlikely places. You connected with the counselor. You didn't even really know she was providing counseling services. But sometimes it's just a matter of just opening yourself up, becoming vulnerable, just opening up yourself and having a conversation with somebody that just seems like a friendly person. And then that person can just end up having like the closest relationship with you. Because one of the things about people that work on college campuses, a lot of times, there's a certain something about an educator. There's a certain something about a counselor. They actually do care for people. Most people aren't there, necessarily, especially if it's education, for like the money. They're not there for that. They're there. It's a ministry. It's a calling. It's something that they feel like they need to do. They have a passion for that. And so they really do care about the students. And so I found when I was working on college campuses, UNC being one of them, and Ohio University, I really worked for years there, doing the same kind of thing, college advocacy, meeting with students, college advising, all of that, did it all. And so I really did care about these students. I didn't want to act like their mom because I wasn't their mom, but I wanted them to be able to feel like they could come to me with anything and not be judged, get the help that they need. If they needed, just somebody to talk to about relationship stuff, if they were failing their classes, if they're homesick, whatever, and I served that role. And it was like one of the most fulfilling things that I have ever done has been the relationships that I've built with students. And, I really wanted to feel like, that I actually made a difference in some lives. I really positively impacted someone's life. And so that's like the greatest feeling of all. And so, like, as you said, you need to find your mentors and also, get some friends, get some true friends that are going to lift you up and are about positive things and are about getting ahead and are about, endeavoring and moving forward. Get some positive, good friends, because some of the, you're not going to have that many friends. I'm finding this out in my life. You don't have so many friends. You have a lot of acquaintances, but true friends, some of those are found on college campuses. And so, your friends, and then also joining organizations and things of that nature to be able to plug into something that is just outside of yourself. Now, when I said I went to college and I didn't do anything but study, I did a lot of studying, but I did join some organizations too. So that's good. I was on the newspaper staff. I was in the gospel choir. I did work, did some, work at university dining and things of that nature, just so I could have money. But it wasn't because I didn't have money from home. My mom and dad, they provided money, my mom especially, and I didn't really have need for that, but I was trying to take the burden off of her. I was like, I can work, I can do this, I can help, and so I don't have to be necessarily spending the money from home. But I had other outlets and things, and I had friends. But believe you me, when it was time to study, I was doing that, and I was going to class. And so I think some of those, just developing really good habits, remembering why you're there on campus. It's not all about fun and games and having fun and just having freedom and being away from home. You are really there for a reason. Finding your advocates that can actually help you, and finding your friends, getting plugged in, and even finding mentors. Sometimes some people that you meet on college campuses, they can become very good mentors that can follow you throughout your life. And so all of that stuff is so important to student success. And so I just want to just thank you for all you've done as far as students are concerned and trying to help students to move forward in the right direction, because this is so important. I often say, it takes a village. It really does. In all honesty, it takes a village, and I mean a whole big old village, to be able to help people to move from point A to point B successfully. And so I know that you have had a lot of great experiences with students, and I can't even imagine all the great things that students have to say about you, because when you have a heart for students, passion for students, and you are in a situation where you're in a helping profession, that stuff matters. It really does matter.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for paving the way with your college roadmap. I mean, I was looking through your book online. I said, oh my goodness, I need this book. People need to learn more about your experiences. You worked on a college campus. And like you said, it's not about the money when you have that passion for students. You're still doing it. This is a lifelong calling for you as well.
Yes. And so thank you. Thank you for that compliment. I'm trying my best to try to be helpful and useful, and to be able to still make a difference in the lives of students, and to help them, find their way, because it's not easy. Nobody said college is easy, but I believe that if you are willing to do the work, and you can have and find your help along the way, that you can be successful and complete your college education. I really believe that with all that's within me. So thank you so much for talking to us today about your role as a college advocate or high school advocate, and how you have been able to help students to be able to make the next move toward higher education.
Thank you so much for having me. Take
No
care.
problem. Okay, you take care also. Thank you for joining us today on Educate You. If you wish, you can send me your questions or comments about the college going process or the podcast contents by sending an email to Dr. Greta at gretaoliverconsulting.com. Also, beginning each week after the podcast airs, check for a companion blog on my website's blog page at gretaoliverconsulting.com. My book, College Roadmap, Essential Tips for First-Time College Students and Their Families, is available for sale on Amazon.com. Join us next week for another tip or strategy to make the road to higher education easier for your student.